to Punch Drunk Nerd, ladies and gentlemen. We have Miguel Sanchez. He is back with us. Everyone go, whoop, 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 whoop. That's right, everybody. He is back and ready to talk about nerd shit, because every week we are teaming up every week to talk about nerd shit. I'm Luis Gonzalez. With me is...
It's Miguel Sanchez.
And Deadpool.
That's right. Now, this week, we're going to do our usual news of the week. And then for our feature discussion, hey, if you're on YouTube, you can see us. We're all wearing our Hawaiian shirts because summer is near its end. And we are going to talk about the summer box office movie wager that we had this week. We had a wager where we tried to guess which movies we thought were going to be in the top 10 in the exact order. We made bets, okay? And we all guessed who we thought was going to win. The winner of today's wager will get to choose a movie or TV show we all have to watch. So tune in. We're going to break down the top 10 movies of the summer and our choices and see where that all lined up. Then we're going to talk about House of the Dragon Episode 2. And then finally, to wrap it all up like we usually do, we're going to talk about what we're into. Movies, TV, video games, etc., etc., and etc. But first, we got to start it off. Act 1, Scene 1, News of the Week. I'm giving it to you. Ben Kingsley, he's back, baby. In the Marvel Universe, everyone knows him as Trevor Slattery, right? You know him.
Yeah.
You know him. All right. Yeah. Nate, famous in Iron Man 3. His reprisal in Shang Chi as well. The famous Trevor Slattery. He's being rumored to come back from Marvel's Wonder Man series. And that's it. That's the news. There's really not much to say, but we know Ben Kingsley's character, Trevor, was an actor who was pretending to be an evil villain in Iron Man 3. He came back, the Mandarin, right? Yes, but then we found out the real Mandarin in Shang-Chi, and it was great that they were able to bring him back in to kind of close some, some gaps there. Now, he's an actor, and Wonder Man is, I think, known to be a stunt person, so it's, it kind of see how those stars can align, where an actor and a stunt person can be working together. Perfect opportunity to have this character come in. I've always enjoyed him. He was a nice surprise for me in Shang-Chi. I don't really have much to say except I'm here for it. All right?
Did you like that twist in Iron Man 3? When it happened the first time?
I was taken aback for sure by it. You know what I mean? I don't know if I liked it a lot. It took me some time to warm up to it. I think after like my 5th viewing of it, I'm like, that's fine, and I'm okay with it.
Wow.
But at first, I was kind of shook, for sure. But now I'm grown to it, and I'm happy to where everything's kind of landed.
Okay. Just curious. I wanted to leave when that happened. I did not. But I've only seen that movie twice. The second time around, because I expected it didn't hurt so bad.
It didn't hurt so bad, yeah. It worked out okay.
Yeah.
Miguel, what did you think about that reveal?
I mean, almost the exact same thing that you said, Luis. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird at first, but the more you watch the movie, it's just like, it's cool. You buy into it.
Makes sense.
I wouldn't say it's cool, but it works.
It's a choice.
And I mean, who doesn't love Ben Kingsley? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I look, right now I'm looking on here, animal. I'm trying to find out the name of that animal in Shang-Chi. Trevor's pet. Morris. The weird looking creature with wings and multiple legs and no face at all. You guys remember Morris?
Yeah.
Vaguely, yeah. I kind of forgot.
I'm staring at Ed dead in the eyes as he tries to remember Morris. Look,
only a man named Trevor would have a pet named Morris.
Well, I'm hoping Morris shows up in Wonder Man. I feel like it's going to happen. We're all here for Morris. Team Morris. If we had a mascot for Punch Drunk Nerd, I think it would be Morris.
Morris?
Yes, I think so. What, do you want a dragon? What do you want?
We just add a meeting to the calendar.
Do you want a dragon for our thing? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Do you want someone?
That's a loaded question.
Do you want a House of Dragons? Huh? I don't have any news for you about House of Dragons. I hope somebody in this room of ours can talk about that.
Oh, actually, wait, Luis, I have some news.
Oh, okay.
Is this how we did it? I missed last week. Is this how we do it now?
You didn't listen to last week's episode where we gracefully segued between me and Ed? It was like a dance. It was like jazz.
Oh, dude, you guys, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Luis was feeding me gold, and like an idiot, I just kept talking.
I kept setting it up and setting it up.
Yep.
Yo, I mean, I'll have to go back. I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Give it a couple re-listens. Get our numbers up. You know what I'm saying?
And, I felt better about Ben Kingsley coming into Iron Man 3 the second time around. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you felt nice about that, you'll feel nice about this.
I'll feel great about you guys. Okay, House of Dragon. Got some news. By the way, this is going to be a show that I never call the right name. I'm reading it right now, House of Dragon, but if I ever just think about it, it's like that Game of Thrones dragon show, or like The Dragons, or Dragon. Anyway.
Dragon. Yeah.
So, co-showrunner Miguel, and I'm going to say this. You guys know who I'm talking about? Miguel
Sanchez.
No, the co-showrunner. I'm gonna try to pronounce his last name.
Let's hear it.
Is it Miguel? Well, now you've kind of tainted my brain. Now I can only say Sapochnik. Right? It's Sapochnik.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Okay.
Earlier, Luis, when we were talking earlier, you were like Sapochnik.
That might be right.
Sapochnik.
Hey. Anyway, so per the Hollywood Reporter, sources are saying that Sapochnik is exiting the show only after a few only after a few episodes. It's exiting the show after pouring an exhausting 3 years of effort into the Game of Thrones prequel. His co-creator Ryan Condal will now serve as the show's sole showrunner, and I believe they said Alan Taylor was coming on to help produce as well.
Oh, really? Alan Taylor used to do a lot of Game of Thrones stuff, and he painfully had to direct Thor: The Dark World, where he was just miserable.
The guy that directed those Game of Thrones episodes is the one that directed that Thor movie?
Yeah, he was miserable, and you could tell he was miserable. But I you know what? It does look, some of that stuff does look pretty. Okay, some of the just the fine texture of the film, it looks pretty, but the movie not so obvious. Not so
it's
great.
Boring. It's a little
right. And you could tell he was just, his heart was just being dragged during the process. But wow, I didn't know that. Alan Taylor, okay, coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised because Miguel, say it again, Ed.
Sapochnik.
He directed some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. I was super excited when they said he was leading.
JK.
Well,
but kind of.
At that point, was it his fault? Was it the writing? Was it the creators? You know what I mean?
No,
you can really.
He made some of the the best ones, like
the best episodes. He did the why am I blanking? Where they blow up the Sept of Baelor.
Yeah,
He did that one. I mean, one of the greatest episodes of Game of Thrones of all time. Anyway, he's leaving House of Dragon. And maybe we'll talk more about that as we go on.
And he directed the first episode, yeah.
Oh, is it just because there is some sort of drama? Is that what's happening?
So, like I said, it says he was just exhausted from doing it, I guess. Maybe just wanted to step away, but... No, I mean, there can't be too much drama because one of the things that in the article, they're saying that he's getting his own first look HBO deal to develop new projects. So there must not be too much bad blood.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that just scares me because I feel like that could go for a terrible turn, right? If losing leadership, it could go either one way. I feel a little bit scared. It scares me to have him leaving. Personally.
It's big news. I mean, like I said, he was one of the reasons why I was most excited to watch this show. So, I don't know.
We'll talk about more our feelings about the Dragon Show in our feature discussion. But, it's got me a little worried. Ed, how do you feel about Sapochnik leaving?
Yeah, well, I could see why they held on to him for the transition going into these prequels and spin-offs and stuff like that. It's hey, this was one of our best rated directors throughout the series, so yeah, pay him buku cash and he'll stick around for a bit. But I feel as a director, he probably wants to move away from that, and try new things and not be just stuck in Game of Thrones for the rest of his life. I mean, it's a pretty brutal fan base too. So yeah, I think he was just ready to let this little bird fly and move on.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
That's a pretty good take.
Thank you.
I like that. He was maybe just the transitional period. We trust his vision.
Get us off to a solid start, which, I mean, depending on what your feelings are of the show, as far as the numbers go, it's been a success.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's all they could really ask for, especially given how people felt about the show leading into it. So, that's, yeah, I mean, fair game if he wants to move on and do other stuff.
I hope.
Let's see what else he's going to do at HBO.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever he does at HBO, TV show, movies, hopefully it gets some accolades. Hopefully people recognize it for something. Maybe he wants to spin off and do other things instead. Maybe he's tired of HBO. Maybe he'll do some films, something that'll be entered into festivals. Maybe, I don't know, but I just wish I had some more news about the festival.
Fucking flawless.
Really good.
Talking of festivals, Luis, I'm glad you brought that up.
What, do you have something to say, Ed?
Yeah, the Venice Film Festival is just getting going. We're in full awards season now, baby. And the 79th Venice Film Festival open. Julianne Moore is the overseeing president this year. And we're going to start. We've been talking about a lot of movies these last few weeks now. All these like artsy-fartsy and award bait movies or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to start seeing responses to these and seeing how they fare. So I've got like a couple coming in competition at Venice that I've got my eye on, and I'm very much looking forward. I'm just going to list a couple of them. Namely The Whale, which is Darren Aronofsky, director of Black Swan, Mother, Requiem for a
That's how it's pronounced, with the exclamation mark at the
end. He's coming back, and he's doing. He's working with Brendan Fraser in what is to be like a very very dramatic role for him. Brendan Fraser's been popping up a lot lately, so hopefully this is like the movie that really brings him back into the fold, I guess, if you want, or just like sheds a new light on his talents, maybe for a new generation.
Exciting. I want to see more Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. So anyway, the story looks really interesting. Also, we're going to talk about this movie later, White Noise, directed by Noah Baumbach. Blonde, which I've talked about multiple times, and we've talked about the trailer. It's going to be a Netflix film surrounding Marilyn Monroe's personal life, directed by Andrew Dominic, starring Ana de Armas. Yes. Then there's Tar, which we have talked about briefly. It's a Kate Winslet movie coming up.
Now, I have a question about that movie. It has what's it called? An accent over the A.
It does, yes.
So what is that? Is it Tar or is it Tear?
TBD.
We'll find out. Hopefully someone talks about it in a press junket.
Hey, I'm going with Tar for right now.
Okay, I'll go down with Tear. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Tear. Yeah, what do you think it is?
I assume that Kate Winslet says Tar, so I'm just going to go with what she would say.
You mean Kate Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett?
No, hang on one second. Kate Winslet, yeah. That's how she would pronounce it.
Or Sapochnik. Then there's Bones and All, that cannibal love story with from director Luca Guadagnino. The Eternal Daughter from Joanna Hogg. The Banshees of Inisherin from Martin McDonagh. And finally, this is another movie we're going to talk about later because they just released a trailer. The Sun from Florian Zeller. And then two out of competition movies that I've got my eye on is Dead for a Dollar, which is a Western featuring Christoph Waltz and Willem Dafoe. This movie only just kind of came to my attention, but already I'm just like, yeah, all right. And then, of course, Don't Worry, Darling, from Olivia Wilde, the Florence Pugh, Harry Styles feature film.
I already know we're going to see that movie. We're probably going to see that movie in theaters, if my wife has to say.
Very nice.
She likes the look, does she? Oh,
Yeah, that's
Harry
what she
Styles.
likes.
It's Harry Styles.
Oh, Harry Styles. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about, these movies and trailers. Obviously, some of these movies have had trailers. The Whale we haven't seen. The Sun is one of them. We're just talking about The Sun. There's a teaser trailer that dropped. It's starring Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, Vanessa Kirby, and Anthony Hopkins. Peter has had a busy life with his new partner Emma and their baby thrown into disarray when his ex-wife Kate turns up with their teenage son Nicholas. Nicholas causing some drama.
Nicholas, more like. Yeah. So I'm excited for this one. Florian Zeller just directed The Father, which won Anthony Hopkins an Oscar. Did you guys see that movie?
I've seen 25 minutes of it.
I think it's funny that his previous movie was called The Father, and this one's The Son.
Yeah,
and the next one's going to be Grandson. You know what I mean? The grandson.
Or The Mother.
The Mother.
That is kind of like a weird title to go with for your second movie if it's not a sequel. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I can buy this for this one, but like, what's the next one going to be?
The Son.
The Son. Fuck it.
It'll be his family trilogy, like the Edgar Wright has Cornetto trilogy, where it's not the same. They don't follow each other, but it's thematically the same.
It's real heavy, depressing drama.
Yeah, this will be Florian's family.
And listen, Anthony Hopkins, he's got to be in more movies before he dies.
Yes.
Jesus. Well, Miguel, if I hope you go back and give it more than just 25 minutes.
The only reason, Ed, I got to tell you, the only reason I didn't finish that movie is because my Starz subscription ran out, you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, I
for the love of God, give us money on Patreon so Miguel can renew his Starz subscription, okay?
Please.
It was good to know that I gave Miguel my Amazon Prime subscription.
And if Jeff Bezos is listening, I did not accept, okay?
Jeff, if you're listening...
I would never. Never.
It's a good movie. It takes you by surprise. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and even in the first half hour, I mean, there's definitely some pretty surprising moments. And I love Olivia Colman,
Yes.
I'll see anything that she's in.
Yep.
Including...
she's not in this next movie.
I was like, I don't know, maybe? I don't know. I haven't seen most of these trailers yet.
I panically scanned the cast of the next movie.
You missed last week. She was in a trailer from last week.
Yes.
What was she in last week? What was she in?
Well, I'm glad you followed the notes, Miguel. Empire of Light from Sam Mendes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she in it.
Sam Mendes back in the game.
Yeah. So yeah, another Oscar hopeful again this year is Olivia Colman.
Let's go.
Yeah. And speaking of Olivia Colman, we talked about Tar earlier, and Olivia Colman has nothing to do with this movie, as far as I'm aware. But
she might watch it.
She might watch it. She might really enjoy it. But yeah, this there was a more extended trailer. If you guys remember the first teaser trailer, it was mostly just
where she's blowing smoking
or whatever. Yeah,
It definitely looks like it's going to be like a weird abstract film, but I'm here for it. Kate Blanchett also. That should have been my segue. Talking of Oscar-nominated actresses, Kate Blanchett is going to be in Tar. Botched it.
Do you want us to go back and edit that in? No, it's fine.
Take it back to one.
I like the rawness. Anyway, so yeah. Anybody got a better segue to go into the next one?
I mean, Ed, when you're talking,
I'm just kind of like you're droning on, and honestly, to me, I'm zoning out a little bit. It just kind of feels like white noise.
What?
It's funny you mentioned that because there's a movie called White Noise. There's a teaser trailer of that. Yeah. I know Ed loves this director, and he always talks about wanting to see his movies in theaters. Ed, I could take over and talk about it, but I would never do that to you.
Allow me.
Yeah, please. You love that. You love this guy.
So after the great success of A Marriage Story, Noah Baumbach is back with his life partner Greta Gerwig, and they are I don't know, directing a movie together. That's a lie. He directed it. She's starring in it.
But she's a director also, right?
Yes,
she's doing
correct.
Barbie.
She's directing Barbie.
I get her and the little girl that sailed across the ocean in a sailboat. Greta
Thunberg?
Yeah, I get their names confused all the time. I can never remember which one's which, is all I'm saying, Ed.
Well,
wait, what is this? There's a girl that sailed across the seas?
Greta Thunberg, the climate activist. The young girl that Republicans like to laugh at. Yeah,
read the news.
I just let my friends tell me the
Hollywood has
news.
changed you, bro.
I just let the people tell me the news. I've gotten to the part where, like, have you heard this in the news? I'm like, well, Jesus, I'm not going to read the news anymore. People keep telling me.
That was years ago.
When was it? Like 2016?
Yeah, she's an adult now.
It was post Trump being elected, because that was the whole debate. Like, he tweeted about her and everything. We don't have to get into it.
Okay, well, we're talking about Greta Gerwig and white noise.
That's who we're talking about.
Right.
Right. The story is, if it's not clear in the trailer, it won't be any clearer now. At once hilarious and horrifying, lyrical and absurd, ordinary and apocalyptic, White Noise dramatizes a contemporary American family's attempt to deal with the mundane conflicts of everyday life while grappling with the universal mysteries of love, death, and the possibility of happiness in an uncertain world. Fuck me. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That was a lot.
I liked. What?
Good.
I liked Frances Ha with Greta Gerwig. I feel like
I love that movie.
That movie got me back into getting my shit back together again. You know, it's like, oh man, I gotta get my life together after watching that movie. Yeah, because
what happened in that movie that made you want to get your life together?
She was like, in her late 20s, and she was kind of floating around, and she wasn't like really. She was kind of aimless in her life, and
her friend was moving on and becoming an adult.
Exactly, her friend was moving on, becoming an adult. It was a coming of age story.
That's a great film, Miguel. You and Kristen would love it.
For a 30-year-old. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And I think
we'll check it out.
I think after that she did Lady Bird, so I think that's.
But wait, she directed that movie or she acted in it?
She acted in it. Noah Baumbach directed it and wrote it.
You're talking about White Noise. I'm talking about Frances Ha.
No, I'm talking about Frances Ha, you dick.
Oh, you are talking about
Yes, that was the connection I had. It was like similar.
I really am the villain.
No, you're going to ask me a question, Miguel. Hit me.
What was I going to say a second ago? Honestly, I can't even remember. But I'm interested in seeing this movie now. Okay, now I know.
God, that's
I
so
love
weird.
a director that can act. It's very Taika Waititi. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Are you talking about Greta or are you talking about Noah?
Yeah,
wait, Greta Gerwig directed
Lady Bird.
She directed Lady Bird, Bird, and is also acting in this movie White Noise, right?
Yes, correct.
So what I'm saying is I love a director who acts and an actor who directs.
Yeah, of course. It's nice.
And who sails across the ocean blue. You know what I mean?
No, that's a different person.
For climate change.
Wait. Okay.
We're in a good place tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be a good one. I hope. Adam Driver, who doesn't like him?
No, I know. Some people think he's
I was
weird.
telling someone recently. Oh God, Luis, I feel like I keep stepping on it. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry.
No, say what you're
I'm having the opposite problem with Ed. Like, I'm actually not listening at all. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk over and tell my story. I was telling someone recently that you met Adam Driver in Louisiana, right? Or you didn't meet him, but you were like in the same vicinity as him.
Yeah.
Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah, no, I saw, and this was like before Star Wars. It was actually after Star Wars that he got, it was after this event that, like a week later, it was announced that he got cast in the new Star Wars film. So probably back in 2014. I was in New Orleans for work at the time. And man, I want to say it was like a hotel lobby or something. I can't remember exactly. Maybe even the airport. But yeah, it was one of those moments. That's twice I've seen a celebrity in New Orleans too.
Who was the second one?
The second one was the Dark Elf from Thor: The Dark World.
What? Content!
Yeah. What's his name? But it was one of those one of those actors who I obviously was less familiar with, but I recognize him. I mean, he's like a great British actor.
Christopher Eccleston.
Thank you, Christopher Eccleston. And him and I locked eyes in front of my hotel, and it was like one of those moments. It's like, I know you, and he's like, you know me. But then we kept walking in our opposite direction.
And good for you.
I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to like go up to him and just pretend like I knew who he was. Like, but I'd seen a bunch of his stuff, and he had just like gotten off Doctor Who and stuff like that. But yeah, hey, you know,
that's how. Yeah, same thing. I saw Natalie Portman in an airport with her mom and her kids. I looked at her and she looked at me, and we both had the exact same moment where like, you saw me, I saw you. We're gonna move on.
You guys,
it's like, I have to give you your respect. You know what I mean?
We're so respectful. Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna treat you like a human being.
We don't want to blow their cover, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just blown away that the two of you have had prolonged eye contact with a celebrity and had these moments that you're running away with, and I haven't had one. Now I got to meet a celebrity.
Yeah. You got to come to jealous of Luisa's. Like, I'd rather lock eyes with Natalie Portman.
Sure. Who wouldn't? Who among us, you know?
Yeah. Maybe it'll be Chris Hemsworth for you. We apparently seem to be checking off the entire cast of Thor. So, fingers crossed for you, Miguel.
I'll be so obnoxious, he'll hate me. You know what I mean?
Chris!
Christopher! Stop, take a photo.
Weird Al Yankovic has a new trailer. It just came out. It's obviously going to be a Roku original. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. It's got Evan Rachel Wood, Will Forte, Rainn Wilson, obviously Sir Daniel Radcliffe. I actually don't know if he's a knight, but it has a nice ring to it. And yeah, the more when I watch this trailer, I see, I get it now. It's just as Weird Al was making fun of songs, this movie is making fun of like biopics. Yeah, band movies. And so as you see it play out, it's the same situation where someone has a dream, they go up to it, the family's against it, then they have all this like drama with their loved ones, blah, blah, blah. And it's like obviously not a true 101 story, because I don't think he's ever really had a relationship with Madonna. But that was like, this is a different movie entirely. This is just making fun of biopics. But I'm here for it, you know, November 4th.
It looks like a lot of fun. Like, none too serious.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe seems to be rocking it, and I love the idea of Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna.
Yeah.
More than Madonna herself, you know, so... Hot take. Real quick.
Hot take, you got me fucked up.
And then finding out that Will Forte was in it, like, cherry on top. That man's a genius. I love
It's a great cast. It's a great cast. I feel like when Daniel Radcliffe jumps on, I'm like, good, this is going to be a good, weird movie. You know what I mean?
But, that's where is the Roku channel? Like, how do I access this movie? Can I watch it on Amazon? Or do I have to get it?
I think...
I can dig out my Roku.
I don't know. Actually, we should
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. I need a fucking treasure map to
Weird
find out
Yankovic Story, how to watch it, Google. Before streaming exclusively on the Roku channel. What does that mean?
You know,
where is that?
The Roku.
That's kind of like meta. That's kind of like meta Weird Al Yankovic, right? You know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to be on a channel that no one can find.
You can add the Roku channel to any Roku streaming device, compatible Samsung Smart TV, Amazon Fire TV. How do I get the Roku channel?
I have a Samsung TV.
We'll just try and download the app later. No problem.
Okay, I guess you can just download the app. Yeah, I guess you just download the app. We'll find out more next week when we talk about on Punch Drunk Nerd.
Punch Drunk Nerd, exclusively streaming on the Roku channel.
So we're talking about strange places for like where movies are going to be shown. This was a strange trailer that I saw specifically on TikTok. I went online looking for this trailer and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was going through TikTok. and I found an ad for Love and Death, which is an HBO Max original with Elizabeth Olsen, Jesse Plemons, and Kristen Ritter. It was a TikTok ad, about 30 seconds long. I looked for the trailer, I couldn't find it. And it's a series based on the true story of Wiley, Texas housewife Candy Montgomery's brutal axe murder of her friend Betty Gore in 1980. I believe Elizabeth Olsen is playing
she
Candy
is.
Montgomery, the brutal axe murderer. It looks pretty cool, you know.
It's
it looks scary. Yeah,
because this show was already done on Hulu with Jessica Biel in the same role.
I read that somewhere. Someone was like, I'm confused. Haven't I already seen this?
Yes, you have.
Interesting.
That's the answer.
Okay.
This happens all the time. I mean, remember that Fire documentary that was on Hulu and on Netflix at the same time? It's just when one studio does it, another is going to do it as well for competing. Jungle Book, Pinocchio, you know?
Yeah.
And then Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is coming soon. It's a horror movie where, it looks like to me that they're just dressed up like Winnie the Pooh, but I think I'm supposed to believe that it is actually Winnie the Pooh,
evolved into that or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like they've evolved into these killers ever since the, what's it called?
100
the
Acre
rights
Wood.
Ever since the rights of Winnie the Pooh got released, these people ran with it, made a horror movie where they're killers. Obviously, this isn't the Disney-fied version. I think that one is still locked under copyright, the Winnie the Pooh version. But this version, the old 1920s, they're murderers.
Did you watch the trailer? I added it kind of late. Did you guys see it today?
Yes.
I did not watch today's trailer. I do apologize.
No. I kind of like the premise a little bit, like the idea that, you know what I mean, this like dark take on Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin like abandons them, and that's why they become these like sadistic killers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they do like some very like tropey horror movie stuff. I don't get the vibe that it's tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? I get, you know what I mean? Kind of like low budget. Horror movie. It does
feel like a low. This is not a high end like a Blumhouse horror movie. This is a low budget, definitely.
You're coming in hot on the Winnie the Pooh IP. You know what I mean? Like that's really the only reason that you're here. So I don't know. I would watch this like on streaming 100%. I'm not going to go to the theaters to see it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I hope it comes out during October. Like I want like a nice, like funny, campy horror movie to watch during the fall of during Halloween. That'd be a good.
It could be fun. Maybe it's like the proof of concept. You know what I mean? And some other studio will run with it and like take some other property and like make
for the sequel. It might be like a high budgeted blockbuster sequel with like Channing Tatum,
like if it does well,
right?
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds is the comedic person. Let's see who else. Kate McKinnon. Who else do we got there? Anthony Hopkins. Kate Blanchett.
Whoa! Wow.
You know,
he's Eeyore for sure.
Really elevated up. We can have what's his name? Willem Dafoe. You know, as a weird person.
Rabbit.
As a rabbit.
Kangaroo.
Willem Dafoe, funnily enough, was in the movie Lighthouse.
Speaking of
lighthouses,
tell me more.
Lego is making a lighthouse, isn't it, Ed? I don't understand this. Motorized.
Coming out this week. Motorized. So occasionally you'll come across a Lego device and it will have a battery motor to it. Typically you find it in like Lego train sets and stuff like that. Anyway, in this regard, they are applying it to a lighthouse.
What's going to be batterized? Oh, the light.
The light itself.
Shit. Fuck.
So yeah, no Willem Dafoe, as far as I'm aware, but so this is coming out this week.
I want a Willem Dafoe minifigure to go to this thing, and a Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, yeah, and a seagull.
Yes.
It's going to be $300.
That's a lot.
2,065 pieces. I mean, it just Lego's coming out with some really interesting.
That's a lot of money for a lighthouse. I don't know if I'm gonna. That's
pretty big, though. Have you seen the pictures?
Have you seen it?
I've seen the pictures.
All right, yeah.
All right.
And the batteries, the motor, you know.
I thought it was a lighthouse that was
don't get me wrong,
moving.
it is a lot. That's not something that's like gets to the top of my list. Man, they're killing me with these prices right now. They just came out with the Lego castle. That's like a celebration of their old castle, kind of like they did with the pirate stuff. And I was like super gung ho for it. Turned out to be $400, and I was like, no, won't be able to afford that in my lifetime. Anyway.
But Ed, what Lego would you spend $400 on?
A pirate ship, probably.
I give you $400 right now. A pirate ship?
Of just what's available?
Well, I don't know. Just like, what would you spend $400 on?
As far as the Lego, that castle would be one of them. I mean, I do like that castle. If they had something piratey going on right now, I would get the piratey thing. All the other like real choice selections are like $600, so that kind of takes it out. But yeah, probably that Lego castle would be at the top of my list right now. For sure.
You guys, subscribe to our Patreon today to see Ed build.
Go fund
whatever.
I forget. Have you created an account for us yet?
I mean, we literally have one.
He's setting it up right now.
No, we for sure have one. I just don't think I've ever actually. No, not me. Punch.
You have your own Patreon account.
Yeah, for like bills and stuff.
You got other people paying your bills?
I fucking wish.
I don't know how Patreon works, clearly. Yeah.
Please help us before we go bankrupt, before we just lose all of our money. Speaking of businesses that are losing money, Blockbuster, obviously they're all gone except for one in Bend, Oregon, and Netflix is making a TV series about that show. It seems like office humor type of show. I don't really know. It was starring Randall Park, Melissa Fumero from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
It's going to be released November 3rd. It'll be 10 30-minute episodes. But yeah, there used to be 3 Blockbusters left over, 2 of them in Alaska, 1 in Bend, Oregon. But now, alas, only Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
So that's that. House of Dragon. Listen, 2 episodes is out, but that means it doesn't matter. It's already renewed for season 2. So get ready for more House of the Dragon shows, more dragons, more houses, bigger than ever before. Finally, Harley Quinn has been renewed for season 4 already. I've been watching it. It's been fun. I'm glad that they're keep on keeping on here. One of the great successes of the DCEU. Well, I don't know if it's part of the cinematic, but whatever. One of the greatest stuff that's come out. Listen, folks, that's the news of the week. Okay. Can you believe it? And next coming up, we're going to talk about in our feature discussion, we're going to do our summer box office update. And then we're going to do a discussion about the House of the Dragon episode 2. So get ready to tune in. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now doing our feature discussion about the summer movie wager. This is the end of the summer, thus why we're wearing our Hawaiian t-shirts, okay? We're saying goodbye to the summer and hello to the fall Oscar season. Before we say goodbye to the summer blockbuster season, the summer blockbuster season, we're going to go over the top 10 movies of the summer now. The way we organized our summer box office was from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend. Obviously, when this episode releases, there'll be a couple more days left of the Labor Day weekend, but for the most part, the box office has been locked. We made bets on where we thought certain movies were going to land in the top 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over our top 10 choices, do a little quick recap on what we thought was going to be the top 10 movies, and then I'm going to reveal the actual top 10, and then we're going to have a winner, and we'll go from there. So, Ed, would you like to give your picks for the top 10 movies this year?
Yes, I would love to do that, Luis. Stand by. Are we going 10 to 1 or vice versa? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, go 10 to 1. That's always fun. That's fun. 10 to 1.
All right. So in 10th I had 3,000 Years of Longing, womp womp, followed by Bob's Burgers, Bullet Train, Elvis, Nope, Top Gun, Lightyear, Minions, Thor, Love and Thunder, and Jurassic World as my number one spot.
And then
again.
And then Miguel, what were your top 10 from bottom to top?
So this was months ago when I did this, okay? I started with number 10, Elvis, and then Bullet Train, and then Minions, all the way at number 7. What the fuck? Beast, Bodies, 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 Nope, Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, Top Gun is number 2, Jurassic World number 1.
All right.
Oh, now baby Miguel.
This is my top 10 picks. I have The Black Phone, Super Pets, Bullet Train, Elvis, Minions, Nope, Top Gun, Thor, Jurassic World, and Lightyear as number 1, baby, because we know it did so well. No, it didn't.
My son loved that movie.
That's all that matters. You know, if the child loves it, then it's one. We also had these dark horses that if they did end up making the top 10, we would get 1 point. Ed, what were your dark horse choices?
Bodies, 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 and Black Phone. Apparently, I didn't think I needed a third.
Miguel, what was yours?
I had 3,000 Years of Longing, the Bob's Burgers movie, and Crimes of the Future. I'm pretty sure it's plural.
I had Bob's Burgers, Marcel the Shell, and Crawdads. Where the Crawdads sing. Now, the way that these points work is you get 13 points if you got the number 1 spot or the number 10 spot dead on. You get 10 points if you got the number 2 to number 9 spots dead on. So 10 points for dead on for there. 7 points if your pick was 1 away, 5 points if your pick was 2 away, and 3 points if your pick was anywhere in the top 10. And then you get 1 point if your dark horse made it to the top 10. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read from the bottom, from top 10 all the way to top 1 of this year's box office. Okay. And we're recording this August 31st. There might be a few that switch around. So let's go. Number 10, we have Bullet Train. Then Where the Crawdads Sing. Then Black Phone. Then Nope. Then Lightyear, which I feel like those two might flip soon. Yeah. Then Elvis. And then we're locking into the 300 million tier. Okay, just a complete jump. Thor, Love and Thunder, Minions, Jurassic World, and Top Gun Maverick with, my God, $369,879 million. I mean, that thing just blew everything out of the water. It doubled what Jurassic World made with $374 million.
That movie opened this competition, and it is still in the top 10. It is ranked. It was number 4 this last weekend. In the box office.
I wish I had been bold enough to put it as number 1. I was just kicking myself over that. Sure, whatever. All summer. I mean, I can't believe how well that movie did. I saw a headline recently that was like, basically it was implying, I can't remember the exact words, but it was like implying like Hollywood should get back to the basics. Like, let's just make movies that are like popcorn films. You know what I mean? Was like the whole theme of it. And I was like, they really don't make movies like this anymore. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
Especially like this is a movie that, again, I will toot the horn, did not have extra CGI elements. Do you know what I mean? What it did was it filmed things in camera. And sure, it kind of manipulated the skin of some of the planes, but it did not create new CGI model planes. They were all real planes. Everything was organic, and that captured an audience. And that's the movie magic we want, you know? And I think it proves it here that it's exhilarating and enticing. And I'm here for this movie. And if it's still in theaters and you haven't seen it, again, go see it. This movie, like I said, made $692 million. This is Wednesday, August 31st. That ranks it at the number 6th all-time summer movie, or all-time movie, I think.
Domestic, right?
Domestically, yeah. It's about to pass. It's about to hit number 5 spot. But it is doing a lot in such a short amount of time. So we're gonna do some quick shout outs here. Ed, you got Minions fucking dead on.
I'm dead on.
Dead on, Ed. You got that at 10 points.
It hurts.
Okay.
I'm happy with that one. I'll take it.
I got Jurassic World dead on.
Yeah, you did.
On second, because I knew it wasn't going to get number 1. It flopped so bad, the other one, that I couldn't imagine it get number 1. Of course, I put Lightyear, which was like number 6 or whatever on this list. So that was a terrible guess. But I think that's all the shout outs I'm going to have. Well, Miguel, you had like 3 top 7s in a row. Jurassic World, Top Gun, and Thor. Those were all,
honestly,
1 point away. You just had banger.
Saying.
You had it consistently. You were consistent at the top 3.
You doubted Minions, though, and shame on you for that.
But I don't think, again, I'm just going to reiterate this point. I wasn't wrong. It's not like Minions was a great movie that like drove audiences to go see it. It was like purely internet memed into its success, you know?
That still made a lot of money.
It's still number 3 on the dot. Good job, Ed.
Ed's being a little bit, snooty here because after running the numbers, Miguel got 44 points. I got 47 points, and Ed came out 1 point under the top with 48 points, winning the first annual Punch Drunk Nerd Summer Movie Wager. Congratulations, Ed. What do you have to say? What we have to say?
I feel like a complete dick for to give it pull the curtain back a little bit.
Insisting.
Yeah, I was really pushing to go one more weekend to when it was officially had all the numbers in, but Luis was you tricked me. You tricked me, you sly dog. And as soon as I saw that number, I was like, oh, I'm a dick. Great.
Yeah. At this point, where we all stand, no matter what, the numbers will stay the same. So we thought we'd call it early. And, Ed, now that you've won, I mean, you can answer now, you can answer next week.
Now.
You have the option to get us to watch a movie or show of your liking.
I'm going to have to think about that one. I can't.
How would you not come into this prepared?
Because I was prepared for next week. And I also thought, Luis, you were pretty far ahead last time we looked.
I was for a bit, and then I think Super Pets got knocked out, and that knocked me down a couple points. So
yeah,
I was
just out of curiosity, Luis. Like, if you had to answer right now, if you had won and you had to answer right now, what show or movie would you make us watch?
I was gonna have you guys watch the show, because you guys haven't seen it, the Netflix show Arcane.
I've heard great things about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was driving and I was like,
thinking of like a theatrical movie.
It was going to be a movie from this whole time, and then I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? That's a good show, and I don't think they would have watched it if I didn't
I'll tell you what, I'll watch it for free.
Regardless.
I've heard nothing but good things about that show, so I really should get on it.
I kind of want to say that if we do by chance go into next week officially and Luis wins because it was only by 1 point, okay, maybe that's the show we watch. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm still going to watch it. But
I think the chances will be low of that to happen, but that's very sweet of y'all to say that.
Let's watch it anyway. I mean, Ed, come on. If you had to, look at how much. Oh fuck!
Look at that.
How much head I have in this. That's not good.
That's too much flow, man.
Drink beer much?
You have to pour it. You have to lean it. Do you know what I mean? You have to lean it.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to do it in a hurry. Okay, and John Tafferty of fucking The Bar Rescue says that's how you pour a beer. Okay, you get as much head as possible.
No, it does not.
No, that's a lie.
Think about your overheads. I will literally send you the video because I was just talking to Kristen about it the other day. How
bullshit.
it was so asinine that this guy is supposed to be like the bar rescue guy and was like, this is how you pour a beer, and went to this whole explanation. No, 100%. I was like, I cannot take you seriously any beyond this, because I would send this beer back with the way this guy was like, this is how your beer should look.
I'm huffing for 10 minutes through this head and foam. Like, I need to get to the beer. What's going on?
I'll send you the link. I couldn't believe that he was saying this. I was like, I will never watch another season of Bar Rescue again. Ed, real quick though, if you could, just like off the top of your head, we can like finalize the answer next week. Like, what's the movie? What's the show? Off the top of your head.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. I've got two in mind right now. Theatrical viewings I'm talking about here. I've Empire of Light, Sam Mendes' film with Olivia Colman.
Okay.
And or The Woman King. The Viola Davis epic. Just because I feel like both would warrant a theatrical viewing. One has Olivia Colman, so Miguel's not overly put off. And the other just has like a bunch of badass actors.
I'm hyped to see The Woman King. I'm ready to see both of these movies.
I'm going to switch it up then. No, I think that would be reasonable without asking you to see something that you're just going to just play on your phone throughout. So,
you're forcing it. You're locking us down. That's how Ed's doing it. Ed's he could say a movie you could watch at home, but no, he's locking it down so you're in the theater, full eyes.
We had a theater bet. And the prize can only be in theaters.
Wow, I like that.
My friends.
Okay.
I do have a quick segue. I don't know if you guys know this. Back to the news for a second. We didn't talk about this. AMC is having like a movie day Saturday, September 3rd, where you get. Is it 3rd? Was I right about that?
Yeah.
Are you talking
$3 movie tickets?
I think it's
$3 movie tickets. People have been reaching out to us to tell us about this.
Listen, I'm an AMC A-list member, so every day...
I knew you were going to say that, but us poors, okay?
Us poor folk.
I can't have the subscription service.
Why do you watch 3 IMAXs in a row for a week in a row? You know what I mean?
You know, Luis, to your point, though, they're saying that any format, any movie on this day...
That's pretty good.
You can watch it for $3. I mean...
That's pretty good.
If you didn't have the AMC stubs list or whatever, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You'd be right there.
Is like nothing came out this week, basically.
That's why they did it.
That's a tragedy. Yeah.
But that's cool. That's good. Give the kids a reason to go out to the movies, get some popcorn, give them some Sour Patch, some chocolate raisins.
I'm going to be at home.
You can afford it now. It's only $3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, Ed, I mean, lock us in maybe next week or whatever, but congratulations, you know, we're entering into Oscar season.
Thank you, guys.
I feel like you won this summer movie wager, and we're going into your territory with the Oscar season. Coming up, you know, we're at the end of the year. I haven't told you this, guys, yet, but it's going to happen. We're going to do, you know, our favorite movies of the year, our favorite TV shows of the year. I think that'd be really fun for us to do. Of course, rolling into the Oscar season in March. But this is Oscar season time. It's time to say goodbye to the swim shorts and the barbecue grills, okay, and the pool time. It's time to get serious. Time to get the pumpkin spice lattes, okay? Time to get those Halloween decorations up. Time to go to the movie theaters and get fancy, because Oscar season is here. And, you know, as we finish up this feature discussion, we say goodbye and aloha to the Summer Movie Wager and aloha to the House of the Dragon. Episode 2. Let's talk about it. You know, what is this one called? The Rogue Prince. I don't want to lead this discussion. I'm going to say that. So I'm going to pass this on to you. Okay, yeah.
Miguel, I want to hear your thoughts on episode 1 real quick.
I know I was gone last week, so I'll be very brief because I don't want to talk about it too much, but I just want to say I really enjoy it. Now, wait. Half step back. Everyone knows I have shitty opinions. Okay,
no,
so I don't want to I don't want to hear about it. All right, but I really enjoyed that first episode. I mean, as much shit as I've talked about the last season of Game of Thrones, I feel like the internet was talking about this a lot, especially after that episode. It doesn't matter how much shit you talked, you want it to be good. And for me, I was like reeled right back in because I just love that world so much, and I'm so hungry for a good Game of Thrones season. I really enjoyed the first episode. I thought they're nods to the original show, but also like creating their own like standalone lore or story or whatever. Was a valiant effort. Do I think it's like perfect at this point? No, but I also think like I am invested and I am willing to keep watching for the next few episodes. I really want this season to be good.
I remember you were poking at us last week. You're like, guys, thoughts. What did you?
Well, I wanted to know because I couldn't tell if Ed liked it or not. Like, I mean.
We talked about it last week.
I know. I just all I wanted from Ed in that moment was like a quick thumbs up, and he had to like really grill me about it. And I was just like, "Did you fucking like it? Yes or no?"
It was suspicious. I
had already watched it,
and I was holding my cards close to my chest purely because I thought we were going to talk about it. But
exactly, and yeah.
Because why waste good conversation? Turns out you wasted it anyway. But
you know what? I was
just kidding.
Not feeling
JK. Well. Yeah.
Did you like it though?
Yeah. Overall, I liked it. I don't think I was disappointed or blown out of the water.
Okay.
It's obviously kind of like a more straightforward storyline. We're not jumping all over Westeros, at least not yet.
Because you can't do it yet.
You can't do it yet, and this is clearly focusing on the Targaryen dynasty, and which is a very rich history, as you guys will see on the family tree that I posted. There is a long way to go between here, where we are now, and the events of Game of Thrones. Lot of incest, let me tell you.
But I do think that, I don't know if it was more of a nod or just a straight up like duplication. But you know what I mean? There were moments that they were like clearly like, this is Game of Thrones. Do you remember Game of Thrones? You know?
You like it?
And yeah. But also, I mean, I think I might have texted you guys this, but there were several times that I was like pausing the episode to be like, do you understand that reference? Like I need to talk this out for a moment because like I want to make sure I'm paying attention. You know, me and Kristen, we had difference of opinions on the Targaryen heir. I'm blanking on her name, Rhaenyra, yeah. And the Hand's daughter, the Hand of the King's daughter. Allison. Like, was there a romantic relationship, or were they just friends? You know what I mean? We had a bit of a back and forth about that, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm so hungry for Game of Thrones to be good again that I'm really giving this show the benefit of the doubt. I did find out recently, I mean, I'm assuming you guys maybe know about this. I vaguely remember these people like in the trailer, but I didn't realize that the show, after just like 2 or 3 episodes, was going to jump forward like 15 years.
I had no idea because I'm going to attach this character and I'm going to lose her. Yeah, we did. Yeah. I'm going to lose this character. No, it's fine.
No. I wasn't saying
that.
We touched on that last week because yes, but
in the trailer you do see like the older characters, and I have seen interviews with these actors.
Yeah,
and I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, as I understand it, only those 2 actors are
the only ones that miss out. Which ones are the? Which are the 2? Because I thought it was the lead.
Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower are the 2 who are changing. They will like change to different actors, but I think they are the only 2. I think Matt Smith is staying on as Daemon.
Right.
Paddy Considine is Viserys, etc. Everybody else stays the same. I guess all of those people are already older.
Right.
I guess, and we're supposed to follow Rhaenyra as she gets into like her 20s and stuff like that.
Is it something like once you hit like this whatever episode, we're never going back to the past again, or is that known? Or
I mean, I can't say for sure. But I believe it's just going forward and not going back.
Okay.
Once it goes there, yeah, that's it, kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's going to be circled around a certain event, but it's going to make that jump at that point.
I have enjoyed what Rhaenyra, is that young Rhaenyra,
Yes.
Millie Alcock. I've enjoyed her, and so it's going to be kind of like sad to see her go.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, both of them actually. Emily Carey, who plays Alison Hightower,
great too.
She's pretty good too. Especially, I mean, they're dealing with very just like intense roles and essentially leading the cast.
Yeah.
So, which leads us to this second episode, The Rogue Prince. And I'll just do a quick synopsis, I guess. Rhaenyra oversteps at the small council. Viserys is urged to secure succession through marriage, and Daemon announces his intentions. Bwam, bwam, bwam. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum, dum.
Oh, real.
I mean, the intro. Let's talk about the intro.
Are you about to talk about that?
Yeah. The intro. Yeah. So
I was.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't just come up with a new score.
I was too, man.
Why are we just reusing the exact same intro?
I was a little bummed.
To the hit Game of Thrones. No, 100%. I'm glad we all agree on this.
Because they didn't play it for the first episode. When the first episode played, it was just the House of the Dragon logo. Yeah, it was here. It's like, okay, I guess this is the direction we're going to. It's a little bit of the Witcher vibe where it was just like the icon sigil.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fine, I guess we're but then when I saw episode 2, I was like, oh no, we're just basically redoing this again. And I felt a little bit let down of a great opportunity to have a new song.
Yeah, absolutely. And visuals too, kind of ho-hum.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are just talking about opening credits, but like you're talking about the Targaryen dynasty. There's a lot of drama there. Like, I don't know, have blood dripping through the family tree or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't go with at least a new score. Like, we're already here for it. We already know it's Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
Move on.
And also, you got to assume, like, if someone's watching this show and has never watched Game of Thrones, like, they don't give a fuck that it's the Game of Thrones theme song. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it felt very, I mean, derivative's not the word I want to use, because it was just straight up like, we're using this again. But yeah, it was disappointing. Could the visuals have been better? Whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Game of Thrones season 1 to Game of Thrones season whatever is the last one you watched. You know what I mean? The visuals change and there's like something interesting, but I don't know. It was kind of a big letdown that we're just hearing the
especially because it was hitting in Game of Thrones. You were going across different storylines into different places of Westeros and beyond or whatever,
and the map showed that.
And the map showed it. Like, what we were talking about is what we are showing you on the map. Mm-hmm. And it would change from week to week at times, where like, this is the new development. This is how the new status of that place is. And here it's just like, we're just moving to move because that's what the last season did. And I don't know.
What I would have to assume, or I guess like hope for, is that either by the end of this season or season 2, you know what I mean, there will be some sort of transition into like the House of Dragon sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold on. Like I said, just to reiterate my point, it's like, I really want the show to be good. So I'm going to give it all the benefit of the doubt.
Like,
we'll see.
I would have been content with that. You guys remember that, the Daenerys theme tune from Game of Thrones? Like,
absolutely.
Something a little bit more sweeping and...
If you're going to play on anything, like play on a specific theme.
Character, which is clearly what this show is focusing on. Speaking of this show, let's get into it.
Okay.
Luis, you've been a little hush-hush, so I'm going to come to you. What were your expectations coming into the second episode? If you're a little just kind of warm on the first one, right?
I'm a little bit warm. I feel like I was ready to get hyped, and it didn't get me hyped, to get into the world, unfortunately. It felt like they played their cards early, so I knew what was going to happen. They kind of led you on, and then the story points played straight. I really didn't care until, like I said last week, the birth scene happened. And then I was like, oh, there's some interesting drama happening. Up until that point, I was kind of doing laundry and then going back. This episode, I felt like I've seen this storyline where it's like, you know, I don't know. It just, I didn't feel like I was surprised really in any way.
Yeah.
Not that I need to be surprised every time, but I just felt like these were similar beats that haven't been done in I don't know. I just wasn't pulled right away for me.
There wasn't a lot of dramatic emphasis with. I mean, there was like they were trying to, you know, push that, but it just didn't feel as punchy, I guess, as like when these same kind of dramatic moments happen in Game of Thrones.
It felt like I've heard the story before, and there wasn't anything else under the surface.
It's almost like they really want to be like, remember Game of Thrones? You know what I mean?
And Miguel, I brought up this point last time, is that this feels like a Force Awakens situation.
Yes, dude. Like, we just want to like hit the points because we just want we just want to like re-engage you into the Game of Thrones world, which is why I'm kind of like, by the end of the season, and maybe this like time jump that I just learned about today, like maybe this is what is going to be like the change of pace. You know what I mean, for the show. Right. I'm not here to write it off just yet, but if by the end of this first season, all we're doing is like repeating beats, then no, this is not the show to follow.
I think this next episode or the next two episodes are really going to show what this season has in store for us, but remains to be seen. So, go ahead, Miguel.
No. I want to let's go by the prompts. Let's go.
So, okay, of this episode overall, what are our initial thoughts? I've seen it twice, and I think I'm going to continue the trend of watching each episode twice. Like, once on, you know, and get the impression. I know that's hard to get, like, have time for, but
that's really what we wanted to do. But I felt like we needed to like kind of get into it for the second episode, so we just started it. You know what I mean? We were only like 20 minutes into the rewatch of the first one, but the first one had me so hooked, and I really, really, really wanted to revisit it. And I think, kind of like what you said, maybe this is what's going to help this show is like, you know, every week watching the last one again right before the new one, and just like bringing you into the world a little bit again. I will say this. One of the things I read on the internet today trending was the Red Wedding. And the question was, did you think the Red Wedding or I'm blanking on her name. It was only the one episode, but the queen who gives birth and dies.
Emma Targaryen.
Emma, yes. They were saying, which one's worse? You know what I mean? Which one was the more gut punch? The Red Wedding or this one, you know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, this is kind of unfair. Like the Red Wedding was like seasons of build up.
Exactly.
Build up. Yeah, exactly.
Like you already knew those characters. Emma, we barely knew.
And you can understand like the plight. You know what I mean? Like this is trauma.
I think it's not fair to compare the two. I was very like, you know, not taken. Shook by that scene, but more like aesthetically and just like what was happening in the moment, not because I was emotionally connected to the character. It's just like a very brutal depiction of a very medieval approach to cesarean.
It. I had to look away.
It was rough,
man.
So, but going into this episode, Miguel, what were your overall thoughts?
So I feel like I enjoyed the first one more than the second one. But there were some like interesting choices. I mean, one of the biggest choice that blew me the most away was the fact that like at the end of the first episode, they're like crowning Rhaenyra, whatever her name is.
Rhaenyra, you got it right.
Fuck yes, let's go. They're like crowning her like heir. You're feeling this like moment of, oh, you know what I mean? This is almost like a coronation. Like she's the queen. And then the very next episode, she's the cupbearer again. And you're like, oh, okay, this is
You know what I mean? Like, this is a way to tell that story. You know what I mean? Oh, fucking women are lesser than, and it doesn't matter that she's got this, you know what I mean, hierarchy. Technically, she's still just a woman.
And Rhaenyra, and she acknowledges it too. She says to her friend Alicent that, you know, he was doing that to spite her uncle, essentially.
And it's
that's how she perceives it.
Although I will say this, I can't remember. Was that the first episode or the second one where he was in the whorehouse and that was the first one?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get to talk about it, but that was like a pretty brutal moment. Like, it is kind of wild that he's over there like declaring himself the king, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a quick side tangent. I was not sure how I felt about Matt Smith, like being in Game of Thrones. Like, I feel like I've got like a very meme understanding of Matt Smith, like he's always like making a funny face or whatever. But then I watched like a Tasty video or something like that. It was some YouTube where Matt Smith and the king from the House of Dragons, what's his name?
Paddy Considine.
They were together just like as themselves, like trying foods or whatever, like American versus UK snacks or something. And Matt Smith was straight up so personable. I was like, dude, you're very likable. And same with the guy, Paddy Considine?
Considine.
Okay. I'm never going to say that right. But they were like surprisingly charismatic. And even after the first episode, I was watching that going like, okay, like I like you. I want to see more of you two. But it was, I'm sorry, I kind of want to.
He does a good job of playing that like scumbag that you want to hate.
You want to hate him, like, but also he's kind of likable. And very similar beats to Game of Thrones, but at the same time, it's like I can't tell. It's like, are these like repetitive beats, or am I just like getting reinvested into the world again? You know what I mean? Like this is what these characters do. They backstab, they plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but overall on the episode, you're a little lower than the first episode.
Only by a little bit, but I'm still invested. Like I really want to see where these characters go. And especially now that I know that there's this like huge time jump and we're going to see these characters again, because it was kind of weird. Also, was it the second episode where the king was like, the other Targaryen was like, you should date my daughter. And she's like 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Viserion. Valerian. I'm sorry. Corlys Valerian and Rhaenys Valerian, the queen that never was. They again try and get
Game of Thrones lore. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you understand what they're saying about these characters when they give them these titles. You know what I mean? Like, but it was a little odd at first. It was like, what are we doing with this like little girl? I'm not about to sit with a whole season of this.
That was intense.
And that was a good reveal.
Paddy Considine definitely played that.
Oh, 100%
moment. Well, I mean, because like. More power to him for actually just like doing that, but like fuck me, that was like an excruciating scene, and that
was a good reveal when because they never mention the age of the child when they were having the conversation. You were always kind of like guessing or how old this kid was going to be, and then the way that it just happened, it was a very like oh shit moment. Do you know?
Yeah, he's coming up the steps, and then suddenly like 2 or 3 feet lower, she pops up, and you're just like, no, oh my god,
no, it was very uncomfortable, but it was helped by the fact that you like the character doesn't like this. You know what I mean?
He's as uncomfortable as we are.
No,
yes,
very reminiscent of like Tyrion and Sansa. You know what I mean? Like Tyrion didn't want that. He was like, I'm not trying to. You know what I mean?
Torture you.
Exactly. And so you kind of like give this character a little bit of... but I also didn't get a chance to talk about this, but like clearly he has grayscale, right? You know what I mean? And it's like, where are we going to go with that? So many of these characters touch him.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I didn't think about that.
Not only the maesters... Wait. I've got like 2 things.
Grayscale situation again.
Okay.
Sorry.
I've got 2 things I want to say.
I forgot about that.
So like... First off, the Targaryens, one of the big talk is like the Valyrian, like the old Doom. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, that's grayscale, which we've seen in the Game of Thrones series. And clearly like the king has it on his back. so it's weird that so many people are touching him, because it's like, we know that is such like a communicable disease or whatever. But what I, upon rewatch, was surprised about is the guy that's playing the Maester is doing like a Maester accent. You know what I mean? Like, he sounds like the old Maester from Game of Thrones.
Hello, my lord.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, I was realizing, okay, that wasn't just one character that sounded like that. It's like the commune of Maesters have developed this.
How they carry themselves.
And that's what I mean about the show. Is like, it touches on all these elements of the lore in a way that I feel like are very organic, and it's not super in your face. But I'm, you know what I mean? I'm moving cautiously.
Oh, wait, the grayscale, is the grayscale? What's it called? Grayscale?
Grayscale.
Grades.
Grayscale.
Grades.
But grades.
What?
Like, I got a bad grade?
No.
Like grades?
No,
like,
it's gray.
like gray.
The color gray.
And then
scale.
Grades.
Because he has it on his back, but it's not his finger, right? He has it on his back, but it's not the finger. The finger was a cut on the.
The finger was the cut, but that's like a reaction of
because of the grades.
Well, what do you mean? He got cut by the sword.
Miguel's fucking with it now.
Anybody can get cut by a sword and get cut. You don't need a disease to get cut.
He has grades, and because of that, it's like diabetes. It's like when your toe gets fucked, all of a sudden you lose your foot. You know what I mean? Same with grades.
So you're telling me his skin is more sensitive?
Yes, it's a skin disease. You know what I mean? That's why they had to cut the skin off of what's his face, Mormont, in Game of Thrones.
Jorah Mormont, yeah. Stop calling it grades.
It is grades. It's grades. 100%.
It's not.
Well,
it's not.
I mean,
you've literally just coined the term.
Very respectfully, it's grades. Okay.
So anyway, and we'll get more into that. You guys, we've started to get introduced to Kragus Drahar, who's the crab feeder in this episode. He's the closing shot. He's the guy with the fucked up skin and the golden mask.
We're supposed to know who that is? It's just a dude in a skin. What are you talking about?
No. But, I mean, I'm doing my research, you know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
it wasn't said in the story. It was like, welcome to Kragus Drahar. Like, this is just a dude in a mask.
Point, well, they've also said his name a couple of times.
Okay.
He is suffering from grayscale, too.
Grades.
Okay, so him and Patty are going to have a party together.
You cannot...
Supposedly, they already had a party. And each other's bums.
That's how you get it.
No, they didn't.
That's how you get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Bum parties.
What's up? So these crabs like to eat people, I guess, huh?
Crab people.
I guess, surprisingly, I like this episode just a little bit more than episode 1, but I still needed to be sold. And I said I was going to wait till episode 4 to really give my feelings on it. I'm giving it the 4-episode treatment. But the funny thing is that I bet by episode 4 they're going into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of fucks me, because now it restarts. I'm like, God damn it! I gotta wait a couple more episodes, pretty much into the season, to get my feelings, because it's the whole
one
relationship.
Season.
So I want to talk about this. When Game of Thrones came out and we were like 2 or 3 seasons deep, I knew a guy who I performed with, Will, who didn't really want to watch Game of Thrones, and I told him, bro, just watch season 1 and you'll know by the end of season 1, because of all the things that happen, if you want to watch this show or not. And he was like, why do I have to give it 1 season? And we kind of had a debate about it, but that really has become like my mantra for shows. Like, if I'm going to give a show its whole scope or whatever, like, you got to give it 1 season.
Okay.
So
I'll give
it Game of Thrones especially, because Game of Thrones, who knows what will happen with the House of Dragon.
Right.
But I just feel a lot of Game of Thrones hung on its 9th episode. Its 8, 9, and 10 episodes were where the drastic, like, story fucking changing event would happen. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here. Like, some people have implied that, like, they have some shit happen earlier on in this season, and that's why we see a time jump. Like, the time jump is follows a big event, which season
this
3.
grayscale situation
episode-
seems it's going to like affect a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's going to basically knock people out of the like.
It's going to be
royalty.
America in the 80s.
Yeah, I was going to say the Grady's
It's gonna be
all
like
over
the-
again.
Well, it's going to be like the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like people are going to be knocked down left and right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, those are my feelings, I guess. Ed, what do you think about it?
So I think it's like so far it's been a steady course. I feel like the cinematography and the I don't know, this kind of like misty, glossy effect that they have in every scene. It's kind of like a filter over the whole thing. It's throwing me off a little bit.
Dude, yes. It's like a filter throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, we're going to keep making these comparisons, so audience, I'm sorry, but like you can't not compare it to the original show. But it's like Game of Thrones was just stripped bare, no flair kind of stuff. But there is like an overwhelming amount of just gloss to the show. Like a lot of the scenes feel like it's just like covered in fog or whatever. I don't know if that's like an effects thing or a budget thing. They're just trying to, you know what I mean?
They call it atmosphere. They call it atmosphere when you throw a lot of atmosphere into the scene. It's like that foggy feel. Yeah.
But it feels like that. Like even in the the council, the small council scenes, like the small room scenes, it just like it carries all the way through. It's a weird choice, and I feel like. And sorry, go ahead.
That's kind of the balance you have to have with like a new show. It's like how much do you want to make it look like the old one, and how much do you want to like give it the original feel.
One thing I've tried to kind of, I don't know, justify in my mind is that we may perhaps like this season is being shown in a reflective perspective. Reflective perspective.
Hell yeah, dude.
But so kind of how the first episode opened to a very Lord of the Rings kind of manner. You have this voiceover just describing the events that led into Viserys's rule, which they didn't do in Game of Thrones. So it was very kind of like theatrical and stuff like that, and kind of just catching you up to the storyline. Then I don't know, I was kind of left thinking like, okay, is this coming from somebody's perspective? They're telling it as if it's like a fairy tale or like an
overall show, but are we
like
seeing...
we're talking about the history of this world. That's how I'm kind of justifying it in my mind, but I do find it a little distracting at parts. We'll get into certain scenes, I guess, in a little bit. And overall, I feel like we have these scenes of dialogue, like dialogue-heavy scenes, but none of them really... I think I've said this already. Like, they just don't have the punch, you know? And again, that might be, how it's being told.
It could be just season one, you know?
So I'm trying not to, like, lean too much into that. But overall, like, I'm still invested, and I think the potential of where the story goes is what excites me the most. Like, Miguel, you were talking about getting into all the lore and the mythos and the history, which Game of Thrones does so well. And one reason why I want to keep, like repeat viewing each episode is because Game of Thrones works so much better when you know the names, you know the locations.
Yes.
That's why I'm trying to just like instill in you guys the names. So it's easier to communicate once you get into it, and it makes it more fun too. It's just like, what's Viserys up to these days? Well, I don't know. He's too busy fucking Alicent Hightower. Ooh, that naughty Hightower.
That's what I mean. Like, when you rewatch these shows, like, you get, like, a full sense of these characters. Yeah. I mean, how many times during Game of Thrones run did people say, like, oh, I didn't understand this character until the second or third time I watched it? Dondarrion, or whatever his name was. You know what I mean? They changed actors at one point, and people are like, I didn't realize until the second viewing that was a whole different actor. But before I go on tangents, I have two quick ones.
Yep.
You guys might have talked about this. What did you guys think about? Now, I mentioned via text some retconning of Game of Thrones in this show.
Oh, really?
What did you guys think about? In Game of Thrones, they talked about how there was like thousands of swords on the on the throne. Yeah. You know what I mean? And someone mentioned, well, when you actually count it, it's only like 200 swords or whatever. But then we see this show, and it's you know what I mean. They've clearly added.
Right. Well, you know what they added? They added it outside of the throne. It's like on the side. It's not even. I felt like that was a little bit of a cheap move when they said.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
When they said there's going to be 1,000 more swords, and I finally see it, I'm like, oh look, it's just like they needed to put them in on the floor. That doesn't count. That doesn't count as adding to the throne. Yeah, it was added to the floor. Okay. That's I was.
But that's so. My question is, okay, you can then play that away as that was the before time, but then Game of Thrones happened. What happened to those swords? You know what I mean?
Well, and maybe I guess like war and Trump,
so the Baratheon when the Baratheons took over,
they could have cleared it out.
The Targaryen dynasty lasted for thousands of years.
Had to be wiped out.
Yes,
yeah. And so when the Baratheons took over, they tried to like give it a more light aesthetic, and that like they even talk about that in Game of Thrones. I
think I do remember.
They had, and one of the kings, I think it's Aerys II, who becomes the Mad King. He had dragon skulls lining the Great Hall.
Yeah.
And when the Baratheons took over, they got rid of all of that shit. They tried to make it a little bit more less foreboding, and
they tried to gentrify that.
And then Joffrey, when Joffrey came back, he made it look a little bit more grim and whatever. As far as the throne goes, it's like whatever. It's a nod more to the actual books.
I thought it was going to be. You know what I thought it was going to be? I thought it was. Have you guys seen Teenage Mutant Ninja: The Secret of the Ooze? Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Ed, have you seen that movie?
I mean, not in a very, very long time, so I don't know what you're about to reference.
Do you remember when Shredder takes the ooze and becomes like a mega Shredder and he looks fucking crazy and evil? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like he's big? Ed, I'm
the only way Shredder is supposed to look, yeah.
Okay, well, what I'm telling you, I'm saying that's because that's how I thought the throne was going to look like this season. I thought it was going to look like fucking massive and hard rock, like crazy. And then I look at the throne this season and the way they were pitching it and publicizing it, I was like, oh, it looks exactly the same, just more swords on the side. Like
just more swords.
I thought it was going to be like fucking huge. Do you know what I'm saying? Like just like a monstrosity.
I can't believe you just referenced Shredder in Secret of the Ooze.
That's what
but at the same time, I fully understand what you just said.
Where he has like spikes coming out at every corner, and it still was like that. It still had that elegant look of a throne. You know, but I thought it was going to be like beefy and gnarly and fucking like, you know, I don't know, whatever. It's
but again, whatever. Is it season 1? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not gonna make it bigger.
Maybe what are they going to do? Melt it together?
No, but you know, think about like every time we revisited a scene or a section of the land in the later seasons, there was more added to it. You know what I mean?
Like
we're like, ooh, discovering more. Maybe that's how they. Whatever. The other thing I want to talk about is, as far as retconning goes in that first episode, is in Game of Thrones, Sam clearly states, like, we should come up with a better name. I know it. I know you hate Sam. Sam clearly states, like, we're going to come up with a better name for this story. And he says, it's a song of fire and ice or whatever it's called, like the book of Game of Thrones.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Forgot about that. Yeah.
And then in this one, they're like, oh, Maester so and so 1,000 years ago said it's called a song of fire and ice. And I was like, okay, they really are trying to say like that last season of Game of Thrones, like we're gonna play with it a little bit, even in tiny moments like that. You know what I mean?
This is Game of Thrones. That's what I took it as. It's just like, like it's still like a present danger, though. At that stage in history, it's just
the winter
like a
situation.
Yeah, the long winter is like a myth.
Did they say that it came back over and over again? Like it was a reoccurring situation. It did,
but every 1,000.
But this was 3,000 years ago, right? Like so it could come back
200 years ago.
It's 200 actually. Wow. If we're talking about the long night or whatever, one of the internet rumors I read was like, fuck it, just like make the Jon Snow show be like, that wasn't the long night, that was just the preamble or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I don't want
like,
that.
Oh, really? I mean, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, if they're gonna retcon it, just do it. Like, I'm here for it. They're not gonna reshoot those last seasons, so let's flip it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
As long as they kill what's his name, I'll be fine. The new king of the North.
John?
He's not king of the North, is he?
Oh, well, Sansa was king of the North.
No, she's not king of the North. The blind kid.
Oh, well, he was king of the realm, like Westeros.
Oh, king of Westeros. That's right.
Yeah. You're talking about Bran.
Yeah, if there's a story where he gets his head chopped off, I'm here for it.
Retcon it. You know what I mean? I literally, if they decide to make 10 shows and every one of them explains how the last season of Game of Thrones didn't actually matter, I'm here for it.
Just have his head on a pike, and I'll be down for
Game of Thrones, the multiverse, coming soon. All right, so let's get into some favorite moments. Miguel, what was the favorite moment, and what was your least favorite moment?
Okay. Of the new episode,
the latest episode only.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, this one I didn't love as much as the first one, and it's been a minute since I've watched it. But just, again, I'm going to reiterate for the 13th time, I'm just excited for this season. Let's see what they bring.
Okay, but there was no moment that stood out to you?
I'd have to rewatch it, okay? I'm sorry. I've been busy.
Luis, what was your favorite moment?
I think my favorite moment would have been, at least the one that pops out right now, is the moment when Rhaenyra comes out of nowhere with that dragon and shows up.
Is that this episode?
Yeah. Where she shows up and like, I got a dragon too, okay? And she just walks right up down the line. It's like nobody can really touch me. Like everybody's like, yes, you could die.
Yes.
And everyone was like, you could have died. But honestly, she did a power play where like nobody's gonna touch me. My uncle's not gonna kill me. You guys can't touch me, and I got a dragon too, you know?
Moment. And I love the fact that, okay, so I was a little hesitant on the whole like, oh, there's like 19 dragons in this show, because it feels like, again, it's like, do you remember Game of Thrones? But at the same time, we see these two dragons and you see her dragon and it looks, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that could have been the great grandfather of the dragons we've seen on the show so far. But Damon's dragon looks very different. It's a very long neck.
Huge.
It's got a slightly different face.
Yeah, serpentine.
Exactly. Yeah. So
we're gonna meet.
These are the kind of moments that I'm looking forward to this show. It's like, okay, show me what I'm not expecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that will, at the very least, be kind of like a fun shift in dynamic where Game of Thrones.
Everyone has a dragon.
Exactly. And because that's one thing, is just like everybody's under threat of this mass destruction that is a dragon. Like, if you make a power move, you have to be ready to repel dragons. And that comes later in history when they fight for Dornish, which I don't know if this show is ever going to lead with this, but only the Dorns, the Martells, were able to stop dragons, as history goes.
They do briefly mention the Martells, so it's like clearly they're trying to set it up. You know what I mean?
Later on down the family tree, only the Martells were the ones who started breeding with Targaryens. Until that point, it was all like incestuous. But I mean, I think it will be a fun shift, like, because these two dragons, even though they were maybe butting heads in the scene, like, they didn't go for one another.
That red dragon still would have. That's a big red dragon that would have taken a yellow dragon. You know what I mean? But it was all relationships that kept it at bay.
Yeah.
It's like it's the uncle. You know what I mean? And they still have some sort of like amiable relationship.
I will say,
I do like their relationship, because it's not intentionally contentious. They are like, he respects. She respects him. He respects her. He obviously butts heads with her father. But I like how they have their own little, like, secret language in Valyrian. You know,
Yeah, that's
I think
cool.
that's a cool element that they're playing with in this show. So, yeah, I mean, that was also another scene that was just greatly overwhelmed with mist and fog. Let me tell you. Like, I remember the greatness of Dragonstone in Game of Thrones, and then we come to this, and I'm just like, well, I can't see a goddamn fucking thing.
I will say that I'm a new fan, or like a newcomer to Star Wars. And so like the lore of Star Wars or whatever is still all new to me. And I'm still kind of like Googling as I watch. Right. But like with House of Dragon, when we go to these locations like Dragonstone or whatever, like I feel like I already know where I'm at. Like I'm revisiting this world. And like whatever happens thematically or story wise, I'm like, it's like adding to the history of this like environment.
I get that. Yeah. I mean,
and I'm hyped.
What about you, Ed? You've been asking us our favorite moments. I mean, what was your favorite moment?
Well, that was like the most like dramatic moment. Thinking about the rest of the episode, I mean, it's very subdued. I did like the little moments between Viserys and Rhaenyra, like when they're finally like just getting to talk one-on-one with each other. And that's probably just like the father in me, just like trying to find some common ground with his daughter, trying to assure her that he's not ignoring her. He hasn't like moved on from her mother's death. Like Paddy Considine and what's her name? Sorry, Millie Alcock do really well in those scenes, and I appreciate that.
Oh, 100%.
I do wish, like I said, it's also scenes like that, or like in the small council chamber where I just wish the dialogue was a little punchier. Like, it's just,
man,
it really, especially in this episode, it just felt like it was leading to one situation. Like, it was just like middle ground to get to a different scene. Like Chekhov, like he has to start looking at wives, stuff like that. But I am very interested. I'm looking forward to the build up, and I mentioned him already. But I'm looking forward to the build up between the Valyrians who are trying to get with Daemon to take on the crab feeder prince. I think I'm looking forward to this conflict, especially getting the first glimpse of him in this episode and what he does to his victims, and then seeing that he's like he's got like grayscale on top of it. I think
how did you know he had grayscale? Was it just because he had the mask on? Is that what it was? Or
well, he's got like his flesh is
show his back. Yeah. It's heavily implied.
It's heavily implied.
You know what I mean? They don't.
Okay. And like it's and then like his face too. He's wearing that golden mask, but it's because like grayscale is taking over.
Okay. I thought it was just like I'm wearing a cool mask.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking about the king. No, you're right. He's got kind of like a zombie.
Oh, the king. Oh, yeah. No, sorry. Yes, I'm talking about the crab feeder specifically, but they both definitely had butt sex and got grayscale from one another.
Grades.
Good grades. All right. So next episode, they're clearly leading into the Battle of the Stepstones. Do we have any fun predictions or thoughts going into this next one?
I would have to say that if they're doing such a big time jump, I'm starting to feel that the king presently, Paddy, what's his name?
Considine. Just call him Viserys.
I feel like he is like the Baratheon of this first season.
He's gonna die.
We're about to see 2 or 3 like really solid episodes of him, and then boom, the conflict is going to be between Daemon and Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. Is he's really good, and I really like his character, but I doubt he's going to be here beyond, especially beyond season 1.
Well, he definitely, they already showed in the sneak peek for the next episode, him and Alicent Hightower do get married, and they do have a male heir, or a male.
Wow.
And so obviously that's yeah. But you can see like they're probably already taking a big leap forward again, obviously because she has a child, but also you could see he has a bit more of a receding hairline in his wig. So
and they're gonna play on that dynamic of the aunt or whatever who was the queen that wasn't chosen. You know what I mean? They're gonna play on that dynamic of her going through that versus Rhaenyra going through that. You know what I mean?
That will get confusing because her name is Rhaenys Valerian, and then Rhaenyra is the princess.
And there's Viserys, but isn't there another Viserys? Wasn't that like a character? Viserys and Viserys? Yeah, wasn't there another character?
There's Varys.
Remember, I remember Game of Thrones. There was like Bran and Bronn and Bronny. Like there was like two like Bran, Bronn, and
it's
Brienne.
The nicknames. It's
Bran,
the nicknames.
Bronn, Brienne. Yeah,
yeah.
My prediction is that Grayscale is going to attack. Is going to destroy everyone. It's going to knock the kingdom down. Their baby is going to fucking get mutilated by Matt Smith's character Daemon. Daemon's going to take over with what's it called?
Are you reading this off Wiki or something?
No, I'm reading off the cast here. Daemon and Valerian, or the other dude, Coloris Valerian, they're going to team up. They're going to take over. Rhaenyra is going to be on the outside, and she's going to be, her path is to like reclaim the seat after being ousted, after like they've taken over because of this Grayscale situation.
Yeah,
she's gonna be.
It's gonna be when Viserys dies. There's not gonna be a clear
right, and he's coming in swiftly.
That's where the civil war starts. Yeah,
especially because he has support. You know what I mean? They're swiftly gonna take over. She's gonna run away to go hiding, and then she's gonna come back older. Because that kid's not gonna live for long. I mean, that kid's gonna die for sure. That kid's gonna get slaughtered.
Aegon?
Is that who that is? I don't know. The kid that
yes, the kid
Allison
is Aegon.
Hightower,
and I only know that
Viserys
because
has.
I've been looking at the family tree all day.
Oh, does Aegon have a kid? Now I don't even know. I'm looking.
Well, there's a lot of Aegons. That's why it gets confusing.
Oh, okay. So wait, hold on. So looking at this family tree, Viserys, unknown of House Hightower. That must have been Allison Hightower, right? They have Aegon the second.
Yes.
Oh, well then in this thing, it looks like Aegon marries Aemond. So I guess he survives. His baby survives. But
we will see.
All right, well, that debunks my theory, but I thought this baby was going to die right away.
I mean, he may still. There's a reason why he's called the second.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, stay tuned for next week's.
Stay tuned.
House of Dragon update.
House of Dragon update. That was our feature discussion. We wrapped that up, and now we are rolling into our What We Are Into. All right, we are hitting our third act of the night. What we are into. We're going down the line, talking about what shows we've been watching, maybe shows that you should watch. Miguel, what have you been into this week?
Okay, so I've been very busy. I've only been focused on one thing recently. So I want to talk about it just for a little bit. But I've been watching Mad Men. Have you guys been keeping up? I've been watching Mad Men. So I think I mentioned recently, like I was just wrapping up season 3. I'm currently in the middle, like almost end of season 4. Okay. I want to talk about how I feel about the show in general and a couple of like hot moments, and then how I feel about it in its future going forward. Real quick, I know, Ed, you've seen Mad Men, right?
Yes.
Luis, remind me again.
I think I probably hit around season 4, and then I dipped out just because of life, not because I wanted, not because I didn't want to, but because of life.
We're vibing. Okay, so I have been super enjoying Mad Men. I thought season 3 was one of the best seasons of the show thus far. We said goodbye to some really good characters, but we also kind of like pushed the agency of Sterling Cooper, Draper, or whatever,
right?
You know what I mean, forward.
Did they go into a new building in this one? Are they in the new office?
at the end of season 3, they're saying we're going to open up our own agency and we don't know what the future is going to hold. And then season 4 starts and it's like, we're in the new agency. We're in the new building.
There's that camera following behind them and they're walking through the agency or something like that. Yeah.
And it's like, and the whole office looks so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have been so hyped for this show thus far. I thought season 3 ended with a couple of really high notes. They do an episode where John F. Kennedy dies and how that affects everyone, while it's also being paralleled with the storyline of Don and Betty's marriage falling apart. I mean, just like gripping drama. I'm so invested in how all of these characters feel, not only about this moment, but where they're going to go. And then it ends on this like big note of we're going to leave this agency and we're going to take all of our best people. And you have to go, oh my God, they didn't take Ken Cosgrove. You know, it's super compelling and you can't wait to see where it's going.
Yeah. By
season 4 and halfway through season 4, I am kind of questioning, where is the dip? Like, where am I going to start falling out of this show and not enjoying it as much? I do not care for this new season. This new location. I really loved the whole like Mad Men in the office feel. So I really want them to stop working from home. I want them to go ahead and get back into the office.
I know it evolves to like a more modern look at the end of the season. Like it definitely departs from that. So from what I heard,
it's kind of like, okay, I do want to be ready for that, and I'm kind of like buying into it. Some of the people, Peggy Olson, I'm loving her trajectory so far.
Oh yeah, she's great.
One of the last episodes I watched was them winning the Clio Award, where they have like the best ad of the year.
Right. Yeah.
And then they go and they pitch an ad to Life cereal like that same night after they've won and they're all drunk. And he steals this idea from this like dummy intern that was trying to get hired. I don't know. I'm invested in these characters and I'm worried that like kind of like Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? I'm already invested. And so now I'm just going to put in the work and I'm going to finish the show. Right. But I already feel a sense in season 4, like I'm kind of pulled back a little bit. You know what I mean? The season 3 ended so highly that I don't know if we can top that moment.
I have a question. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. This is like literally over a decade of remembering, but I feel like season 3 had maybe like a good villain and season 4 or a good antagonist, and season 4 doesn't have a good antagonist yet. Is that what's going on? Or
Interesting. Well, I feel like season 3's antagonist was like, you know what I mean? They've been bought out, and it's the London firm, and Lane Price is kind of the bad guy, but he's got a good heart. You know what I mean? And which is why they bring him in season 4. In season 4, the bad guy is themselves. You know what I mean? How are they going to kind of like top what they've been, right? And how are they going to bring something new? Like Don has a really great moment in this episode where he pitches to Life and he's drunk and he's like, whatever, I can just like do this like off the top of my head. But you're also learning in the back history that like he was like a coat salesman and he like had to really fight for this position to be a part of this company, and now he's become so comfortable with it he's forgotten like his origins.
The eye of the tiger.
Exactly. No, so anyway, I don't want to overtalk it, but I'm just saying, this is the season where I'm kind of like, I've really been neglecting a lot of shows. I'm thinking about maybe picking them back up instead, you know?
It's so interesting how that works, because as I'm doing these shows, like I miss old shows too. And so it's like, it is a fine balance and dance between movie viewing, you know? Yeah.
Ed, can you steer me in any direction? Because when I talked to Josh this last week, he visited Denver, and I was talking to him about Mad Men, and I got the sense that he was kind of cold on Mad Men, like overall.
I think overall I was left a little cold on it, but I will say that trying to think of where you're at now, I'm trying to recall, but like there are some pretty brilliant moments that happen at least in the next 2 seasons. this season and the next one. Like Lane Price has a really interesting story.
I already know how it ends. The thing that sucks is that Kristen watched the show as it aired, maybe on Netflix, you know what I mean, as it released on Netflix or whatever. So especially this season, I definitely remember a lot of the episodes as I'm watching. I'm like, oh, I remember you going through this before. So as far as like Lane Price is concerned, like overall his story, how it ends, I remember that.
Yeah.
But I'm now
Christina Hendricks has a new story. And have you met Don Draper's new...
I've met her, but they're not married yet.
His assistant.
Yeah. And you can tell how they're introducing.
You already know. I fell head over heels for her. She's fucking great.
The thing that makes her so likable is the fact that she's not fucking Betty Draper. Why? I really felt like, in comparison, Breaking Bad. I was talking to Kristen about this week. Like Breaking Bad, Skyler. Everyone hates Skyler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I liked her.
Same. I've always really felt for her. Like I've always felt
too.
That the story that she was presented with, you know what I mean? Yeah. She reacts accordingly.
Absolutely.
But Betty Draper,
better than most would.
Absolutely.
If put in that situation, better than most would.
She does the best with her situation. Betty Draper, however, listen, I totally feel that the sense that Don was not a good husband. He cheated on her a lot, and she really drew the line. I can respect that line being drawn, but she's such a bitch about it. Like, it's so hard to like Betty Draper past this season. It doesn't get better, right?
No, I don't think it helps that January Jones just isn't a very good actor.
Well, I want to argue with you because she's good for Betty Draper. You know what I mean? Especially in those first couple of seasons. Like you can't tell me that even if she's an inexperienced or bad actress, that she's not playing the role of Betty Draper pretty accurately. Like she understands the character. Like I'm kind of going to compare her to Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones for a second. Like, maybe Lena Headey is a quote unquote better actress, and that character is absolutely super compelling. But like Betty in the first few seasons, you understand where she's going and you understand her beats, and she plays those moments. But she becomes such a villain in season 4 that I cannot abide.
What happens to Sabrina, the teenage witch? What's she doing?
I literally call her Sabrina every time she comes on screen. I'm like, Sabrina better calm down. She cut her hair. She's doing some inappropriate things.
Right.
She's grieving her grandfather from 2 seasons ago.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think it's crazy how this show, I don't know if I mentioned it, I probably did, but how Alison Brie was living the best life because she was on Mad Men and Community.
Alison Brie was straight up just like paycheck. Yeah,
I'm going to do some art and then I'm going to do some comedy.
But also bringing that shit to the table. Like her character is so compelling in both of those shows. Briefly talking about She-Hulk, there was a rumor she was going to be She-Hulk. She even commented on it recently. Wow. And I gotta say,
that's crazy to think of.
Tatiana Maslany, forgive me, Ed. Sapochnik, she's a great She-Hulk. I'm loving what she's doing, but I absolutely could have also seen Alison Brie do this show.
That would have been
very interesting.
Sure.
Yeah. Cousin Hulk.
So to see her in both Community and Mad Men, and she's absolutely nailing that role. I'm here for it. Am I gonna watch all the way through? Yeah. Am I gonna have some shitty things to say? Probably. But I'm watching Mad Men, and I hope you guys enjoy.
You were talking about She-Hulk. I know we talked about it earlier this week. What are your quick thoughts on that?
Very, very briefly. I just want to say I super loved that first episode, very much like I loved that first episode of House of Game of Dragons. I am enjoying the second episode. I think her character was instantly likable. So I want to see more of her.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll leave it.
Cool. I think we're all
Thank you.
that.
Cheers.
I think
Cheers.
we're talking about the episode. Ed, let's take it over to you.
Oh, it's been a slow one for me too. I got to go see 3,000 Years of Longing, the big box office
I have
success.
to know what you thought about this because I've been wanting to see this movie, and I was so jealous when I heard you saw it. Like,
oh well,
what were your thoughts?
It's an interesting one.
Were you let down when you saw it? When you walked out like, damn,
thumbs
this is
up
not what
or
I
down,
thought.
Ed, do it.
I overall, I'd give it a thumbs up. I was,
But you expected more, didn't you?
I expected it a little bit different. The trailers definitely give it a bit more energetic vibe that it actually is. It's very kind of slow pace. It's a very short movie, but it's basically told in like a fairy tale sort of way. Tilda Swinton's character is the narrator, and she's retelling her experience coming across this lamp or bottle that contained a djinn, and then hearing his story of thousands of years, and it ties in with like history, both biblical and or actual, and they're both really good. They have like a good. It jumps back and forth between them in a hotel room and, flashbacks to his. It basically just anytime he got himself captured into a bottle or a lamp or whatever, and it's fun. It plays with some fun ideas, and visually it's very interesting. It's very weird and only a George Miller movie can be. And it's not the most like it's not going to blow you away or out of the water, but overall it's just like a very short, sweet, sincere story of love that endures over time, and
good.
Both good performances. Now, would this be a movie that I would say, like, you have to go see in theaters? Maybe not necessarily. It is visually very stunning. The very, like, popping color palette. It's very bright, and there's a kind of, like, quirkiness to it, too. But, yeah, overall, it's a good movie. It's not... I don't think it's, like... It's like in the middle of maybe my favorite movies of the year.
Okay.
It didn't like blow me out of the water or anything, but it was good. And I do feel like the trailers were probably, again, a little misleading just as far as the tone and the energy of it.
Mm-hmm. It felt very exciting. Maybe that they were trying to imitate what Mad Max was doing.
Yeah,
in the
just like this wild energy.
Yeah,
where it's very much more toned down. It is like told as a story, and it's very reflective on that and stuff.
It's a bit of it's not of a slower pace, but just like a building thing where you're not jumping from moment to moment.
And like I said, it is a short film. It moves. It moves along quickly. But yeah, it was an interesting one. It was a fun one. And yeah, you just go through these scenarios where Idris Elba's Jin character is dealing or trying to get people to make wishes, and how people use those wishes, at different times of history and or different situations, different circumstances, and all of that. And Tilda Swinton, who is like a storyteller by profession, who's very skeptical of him, and she doesn't want to make 3 wishes or whatever. So it's just like an interesting take on the Three Wish story, premise. So yeah, it was a good one. I didn't expect it to wow people.
Was there ever a point in the movie where there was the idea of like, oh, you should wish the genie free?
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing.
Oh, that is the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. But again, she's a skeptic because she has studied like fairy tales and stories and all of that, and so she knows that by nature, jinn are supposed to be very manipulative and like tricksters kind of thing. Like you have to wish for a very specific thing kind of thing.
Right.
It's just like an interesting kind of an original take that I didn't know what to expect going into it, and I came out of it satisfied. Again, wasn't like blown away or anything, but it was a solid story, solid acting. So I don't have a whole lot more to say about it without like really delving deep into it. The only other show that I watched aside from She-Hulk and House of the Dragon was Welcome to Wrexham.
Let's hear it.
Which I thought was a mockumentary, but it actually is a real documentary.
It's real. Documentary, yeah. I think the third episode came out very late today. I didn't get to watch the third one, but they released the first two last week. So just to catch listeners up, it's just like Ryan Gosling and
Ryan Reynolds.
I already fucked it up. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry, the other Ryan. Gorgeous man, and Rob McElhenney.
Mac.
Of Mac. Mac of It's Always Sunny fame. They both basically buy out this very small Welsh football team that is struggling financially. It is on the lower two leagues of the overall football league. What's up, Miguel?
I was kind of like Mac from Always Sunny. I was blown away at the tier system of the football league or whatever. The fact that you could be a Premier League or whatever, not Premier, but you know what I mean? You could be a professional player and one bad season be knocked down to just
a lower league
novice,
where people in this league make less than 30,000 a year. So potentially you could be a quote unquote professional footballer, but and also still not make anywhere close to the money that Premier League.
You could also drive for Uber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So the first episode is kind of introducing you to the team, the town, the overall atmosphere regarding the football team, and obviously they've been struggling, so everybody's kind of down on it. They've been screwed over by previous owners of the team. So obviously you got two Hollywood stars coming in, and Ryan Reynolds, being the guy that he is, kind of sarcastic about fucking everything. It's hard to say what his motivation is here. And I still, after two episodes, I'm still like, okay, I'll buy it. I mean, because it makes for interesting television, obviously.
Absolutely.
But I do like their dynamic.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what is he fucking around? Is he not being genuine? Is that what's happening?
No. Well, it's just like I feel like his general persona is always very just like smarmy and kind of sarcastic. And
they, in the first episode, they have a really good quote from like a local from the town that is basically like, you know what I mean? If their intentions are good, like I want them to take over and I want to succeed because I love this program or league or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, why us? Like, why did they choose us? And there's this kind of like question of these like big Hollywood names coming in here and
like making a joke out of us.
Is it a joke? Yeah, is it a joke? Is it just kind of like a a little pastime activity for them because whatever they
they're
can
rich
afford it.
Hollywood,
Yeah.
But they do a good job in that first episode, kind of like starting with Mac being like, I was poor and I have like TV money, and the only way I could make this work is if I brought in like a Hollywood A-lister like Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of like, I'm only a few minutes into this first episode, but I want them to succeed.
Yeah. No, and it does. The second episode leans more into this whole underdog ideal that they're having to deal with. Like, you know, they're going into the season, and they're taking note of the things that they're going to have to adjust moving forward in order to make them a successful team and bring them back up the ladder of the football leagues. So, yeah, I mean, they're very short episodes. It's not like they go into a whole lot of detail. Most of their presence, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney or whatever, he is mostly done via like FaceTime and stuff. Like, they haven't even gone over to the field to see the team. They've watched it only through TV. So they haven't been there yet. So it'll be interesting to see that actually happen. So yeah, it's interesting. And they've got people like representing them at these places, and you see how the footballers and also the locals react to it. It's very interesting. It's got me intrigued. Yes, Miguel.
I gotta ask, if you had, you know what I mean, Mac from Always Sunny and Ryan Reynolds money, like,
would I buy a team?
Would you buy a team, and who would you buy?
Oh, well, that's a big question.
Off the top of your head.
I mean, I would just say like something local to where I grew up. Like I couldn't even tell you what the name of the Winchester team was, but I grew up in Winchester. So I would try and buy the Winchester team and try and build it up. There is the Southampton Saints, which was my other local team. But they are in the Premier League, so they're doing okay.
So you got to do less than them.
I would need more money to buy them, kind of thing. So I would need like Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling money.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like if we get enough subscribers on our Patreon, we should buy. I mean,
hey,
Luis, you like soccer,
I'm not opposed
right?
to it.
I used to play soccer, so you like soccer, but I haven't seen a lot of like, you know, the European League. I usually get in when the World Cup's happening, you know.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, me too. Luis, can you come down here during the World Cup this year?
Love to.
No, not this year. In 4 years from now, when we're about to be
huge.
Yeah, but this year, like on Black Friday this year, England and the US play each other.
What time? I hope it's not like 4 a.m. again.
I mean, it'll be early. It's in Qatar.
When I was in Houston, they had a bar just down the road from my house that was they played into that. It didn't matter what time the game was on. They would open up. So you would show up at like, you know what I mean, 4 a.m. and be like, "Good morning. I'm here to watch whatever." All right. Well,
that wraps me up. I'm like, welcome to Wrexham. It's kind of like a light, easy documentary series, and I'm curious to see where it goes for sure.
I will say, Welcome to Wrexham was one of the shows of the next two that I was super into. And Luis, I hope you start with it.
Oh, with Mo.
Yeah, Luis, your turn.
With my shows I've been watching. Mo. It's just called Mo.
Mo.
This is actually so. Miguel brought this up on the podcast, and he mentioned it. And it's funny enough, I was asking my brother, saying, "Hey, have you seen this other show that I'm going to talk about later? This Fool?" And I texted him, "Have you seen this Fool?" And he's like, "No, I've been watching Mo. Your podcast recommended it." And I was like, "Damn, I forgot about Mo." And so I started watching.
Miguel, did you watch it?
I did. I watched the first episode. I think they're all out. I haven't watched all of them.
Okay. So, we started watching Mo because we finished This Fool and we wanted another show to jump on. And this one, we're on our third or fourth episode in. There are 8 episodes, and basically Mo follows a Palestinian refugee living in Houston, Texas, who is currently seeking asylum and citizenship in the United States. This is a comedian who's actually created it with Rami. He had his own Hulu show, and now I want to watch it. I've heard great things about it. Now
Tristan has watched it.
Yeah, so it makes me want to watch that show next after this one. But it's one of these like similar to life comedian stories. You know, you got your Louis, you got your This Fool, you got your Better Things, you got your this, and all comedians doing this stuff. But one thing to note is that all three of us met each other in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
I spent a good time of my life in Houston, Texas. And so it's been great seeing just the landscape and the people and the culture of it shine out. It's making me want to like listen to Sean Paul again, listen to Bun B. Like as I hear all this stuff. No, today I was like on my Spotify playing like, oh yeah, like this is the shit.
I mean, Mo visits a hookah shop like off of Richmond.
Yeah.
And when they cut to the strip center that they're in, you're like, I've straight up driven by that. You know
Dreams
what I mean?
is a huge place. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's like, it's so unapologetically Houston in a way that like shows just don't do, And
like you couldn't fake this to make it look like another city. Like this is, it is there in that city and you can feel it. And it has actors from Houston in the show. Like, do you remember Ruddy Cravens?
Bro, I was shouting. I was like, that's fucking Ruddy.
Yeah.
As soon as he walked up at him, I was like, what shoes are these? Fucking alien shoes.
This is a person who acted in our same theater. He's an older gentleman, but he like directed shows at the theater we went to. You know what I mean? And he's showing up.
That's what I'm saying. Like they delved into the Houston pool.
Yeah.
And they found, celebrities or whoever that like really fit that vibe. And I know Luis moved away to LA several years ago. I moved out of Houston a couple of years ago. Ed, you're still there. To me, it was just like, take me back. Like, let me see that world again.
Right when it started, it like brought you, it was a good exposition of like, from what did they do? They went from like downtown through all the stuff and then straight to A-Leaf.
Even past like the neighborhoods that they visit.
Yeah.
Like the house he was in. You were like, I've seen that house in Houston before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, dude. This was
I want to watch it just to get those landmarks, if anything.
And I'm telling you, dude, you've driven by, like, you work in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, you've driven by the landmarks.
Yeah. You know what's funny is seeing this for the first time, I was like, oh, representation. Like, this is Houston. Like, I feel,
dude,
the place is there out in the world now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't
in like not a gross or like fake way. Like it is just Houston. You know what I mean? He goes to that grocery store, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've fucking been in this grocery store before. You know what I mean?
And I know even in the show, he's like wearing Houston like logos and hats. But like the thing is people. It's like, oh, we get it, man. You're in Houston, but for real, that's what people wear.
That's who those people are.
Like
dude.
people just wear like the Astros hat.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
Look,
people have the Houston
I've got a
shirt.
straight up like Crawford bought glass in my hand. You know what I mean?
No, but I love this character. I want to see his comedy specials now. It's just a good like comedian story to follow. He's a charismatic guy, and it just pulls you in just because of the great performances, great background. Yeah, man. It's oh my god, I just got spoiled by something. No, but it's good. It's good. It's
not
good.
Live.
But it's good. It's good stuff. So, some great guest appearances that are going to happen in the show. Saw happen, but no, it's exciting stuff. But yeah, Mo, I dig it. Check it out. Another fun show is This Fool. I talked about it last time, but I wrapped it up finally. This is another show, except instead of Houston, it's in Los Angeles. And so it's been really interesting to get to watch these shows back to back because I'm in Los Angeles and it's really showcasing a lot of like the Los Angeles backdrop.
Yes,
so it's the same feeling again that I'm getting from Mo that I got from This Fool. And
so like in Los Angeles, you don't know. Like general people, I mean, general audiences.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's got like landmarks.
No, I'm asking.
No, it's got like, it feels very like LA of that area. Do you know what I mean? Like it is a certain culture of, you know, Chicanos and like this is a lot of like Mexican and a lot of like, what's it called? Just rituals and things that are happening. And it's just a really funny comedian too by Chris Estrada. So I'm just kind of going down this comedian TV show lane. Like I said, I'm going to do Rami, but I highly recommend this fool. It's quirky, it's silly. And I had this last week, Miguel, but it's funny because the guy was in jail in 2005 and he comes back, and he has to deal with life after 2005. He's still acting like it's 2005 in a 2022 world. And so, like, the way he picks up girls, the way he goes out and deals with drama, the ways he does, like, even things with his body, like, he's starting to realize, like, this is a different, like, environment. Like, you can't do certain things, you know? While being smacked with the tradition of, like, being in a Mexican family.
Where can I watch it?
You can watch this on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down to clown.
And then the last thing I watched was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I finally got to see that.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, man. It was not the movie I thought it was going to be in a good way. It's a fun movie. I thought it was going to be really like introspective. Is that the word I'm thinking of? Because I know it had to deal with his career, and it was like bringing it to the forefront. And I remember there was a younger version of Nicolas Cage talking to an older version of Nicolas Cage. And I felt like, okay, this is going to be a deep, introspective movie. And it ended up being more fun and less heavy as I thought it was going to be.
Like a buddy comedy, right?
Yeah, it ended up becoming, because I didn't realize how involved Pedro Pascal was. But it was a very buddy comedy between him, Nicolas Cage, and Pedro Pascal. Not trying to spoil too much about the movie, but it was a lot of fun. Not if you're expected to be serious. Like I said, I think you can let go of that perception. And this is just a kind of a movie you enjoy the ride for. It's a fun time, and I don't know. That's all I really want to say without spoiling too much.
Okay. I'm very much looking forward to being able to watch that finally. It's been out too long.
There was a moment.
Have any more excuses?
There was a moment when I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess we're going down this road, huh? Okay. Like that was what happened to me in this movie. But that's just because of the perception I had of it going into it beforehand. You know, so maybe you might think of it differently now. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun stuff. But I'm going to keep on watching Mo. I'm deciding what I'm going to watch next. Me and Sarah are trying to debate what we're watching together and what we're watching separately, because that'll help dictate what I can watch on my own faster. Right now on we have Mo, but we're also talking about Severance. Should we watch that together?
Rings of Power.
Are we going to watch? Well, yeah, Rings of Power, but also Better Call Saul. And so I'm saying, do you want to watch this with me, or are we going to watch it separately? And so whatever decides from there, I'll know what I want to watch next. If she wants to watch Severance and Better Call Saul, then maybe I'll watch Killing Eve on my own.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
So we'll see what happens. But stay tuned, everybody. Next week, Ed's going to give us his pick for us to watch because he won the summer movie wager. We'll talk about what we're into. We'll talk about some news. Find out soon what our future discussion is. But I mean, until then, hey, it's been
Rings
me,
of Power,
Luis Gonzalez,
and Miguel Sanchez.
Ed Bull.
That's right.
Hey.
And until next time, motherfucker. Later, Gator.
Later, skaters.